13 Questions by Man Transcending. Manhood in the Digital Age.
Welcome back to another episode of 13 Questions. I am joined, as always, by Adam Loyal, and this episode's guest is Rodney Norman. You may have seen Rodney on YouTube or Instagram, where I ran into him. Rodney is a comedian, a inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, philosopher, just all around great guy. So you will definitely get a kick out of this episode. We get to learn a little bit about inspiration for one of his characters that you may or may not be familiar with. But yeah, what did you think about the interview, Adam?
Maybe one of my favorite interviews of all time. Definitely one of my, if not, I'll say my favorite answer of all time to one of the questions, which is also going to link up with my gratitude today. It really made me appreciative of a lot of things that we got into the episode, kind of, looking at those darker sides of life and laughing.
Yeah, speaking, he is a very inspirational guy, so he inspired your gratitude for this episode. It's very fitting, I would say, being a motivational speaker and whatnot. But yeah, let's get right into it. Let's do the gratitudes. Get our gratitude segment.
Gratitude, 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 oh, gratitude. Gratitude, 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 oh, gratitude.
My gratitude stems from the question the guest answered about most embarrassing or humbling moments in your life. And there was a time when I was a teenager, I was working at a hardware store. And there was somebody who kept coming in and getting paint mixed over and over again. And she was very, very anxious about it and very upset. And just putting me under a lot of pressure to make sure that we picked the exact perfect color on the card, which is a very subjective thing. Goes on to tell me that she's painted her apartment many times. In my mind, it was like 8 or 9 times. And she has to just get it perfect and right. And, I don't know, I was probably 14, 15. It's, one of my first jobs. And then she tells me that she's got terminal cancer and she's not going to be living for much longer. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I say? Like, try to say say the right thing. And I'm like, in my mind of thinking, I'm like, well, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Thinking like, look, man, things can be bad, but there's always something to look forward to. Not thinking about the death significance of the light at the end of the tunnel and how horrible of a thing it is to say to this woman. And I didn't realize until after I said it and to seeing the look on her face. And I don't take it as a horrific moment in my life. I take it as a very funny moment in my life. I take it as one of those. It is something that I never would say to somebody. And I find it funny because not wanting to hurt somebody, trying to do the right thing, I said like the absolute worst possible thing. And in the cruelest kind of like jokey roast battle, things you'd never say, it's that situation where, what kind of person would ever do this? But they did it. And it's like, well, I was that person. And I can at least look back at it and find the humor and going, oh my God, like, why would you say that of all the things? And, so it was a horrific moment at the time, but I've at least taken the step back of being able to look at it and find the humor in it and say, maybe you shouldn't have put so much pressure on a young kid who really didn't know what to say. And that's not your fault. So laugh at it. And yeah, when you disarm the finality of that event, I don't know. I'm rambling now, but
It's beautiful. It speaks to how laughter can heal.
And that's the thing. It shouldn't be funny. It's like the dark joke. It's watching Fargo when somebody's falling down the stairs and it shouldn't be funny, but everybody is laughing in a dark comedy. You know, when you didn't mean to do it, at least find the humor in the stupidity of your idiocy.
Well,
You know, if you walk into a sliding glass door, it hurts, it's embarrassing, and it's funny.
right? Speaking, just the nature of laughter, like what Rodney kind of touched on, a theory of that, and how it occurs after, a challenging, life-threatening situation, right? And just having that release after the fact, right? Of being able to, maybe there's some kind of primal mechanism at work with what we talk about it on the interview a little bit too, but yeah, it's definitely a useful tool in being able to go back into time, really, in your experience, and reauthor it and rewrite it, right? Even if and using laughter is one of, an absolutely great way to help facilitate that, I think. But
It's probably the secret to the universe, Bill. It's just laughter. The meaning of life is just laughter. Any kind, any joke. Don't take things too seriously. Like the Buddha says, life is suffering. And if you can find humor in any moment, I mean, you might be able to find bliss always by reframing the worst of the worst to, at least, instead of wallowing in the horror, being able to find some joy in the world, which really kind of proves that there really is always joy in the world. I mean, sometimes you might need to look within. Don't let the outside, if the outside's not affecting you, life is a lot easier, and it's only our observance of those things. So yeah, I mean, it's that balancing, take everything seriously.
Take everything not so seriously.
Yes.
But it is balancing, like what you're saying. But to kind of spin off of the keep the gratitude train on the comedy wheel, my gratitude was going to be Friends, right? And I got to spend a little bit of time in Indiana recently, and got to meet some friends I haven't seen in a while, and so it's always nice to see old friends, but making new friends is always a good thing too. And I would say that I've made a few of them doing the podcast, right? Adam is included, right? And
I hope so.
absolutely. So not to just exclude or include or purposely or anything, but yeah, just forming these relationships and building from that has been a fun ride so far. And one of those relationships I've been able to build off of recently is with another comedian, Owen Hunt, and he does Blue Collar Mystics, which is a live stream on YouTube weekly on Tuesdays. And yeah, I've been a guest over there a couple times now. One with Derek Condit, who has been a past guest on this show, episode 50, and one with an upcoming guest, more recently, Mark Stavish. So definitely go and check out Blue Collar Mystics, Owen Hunt's program over there. He's got it going on, and he's a great guy. Consider him one of my friends. Consider a lot of the people I've met on here my friends. But yeah, it was a good conversation about egregores. With the author of a book by the same title, Egregores by Mark Stavish, who I did get verbal confirmation will appear on this show in the near future. So that's super exciting to look out for. And there's a whole little synchronistic story behind that. So maybe we'll get into it on that episode, or maybe you'll hear it on Blue Collar Mystics. That's up to you. But speaking of YouTube and streaming, and he's not just on YouTube, by the way. His show is on multiple platforms. But speaking of platforms, the Twitter account for this show has been locked out, and I don't know exactly what they want from me. I have verified my email address, and then they asked me to send or to enter in a verification code. They send to the email address. I did that multiple times, and still it just doesn't want to work.
Maybe we just need to
so-
create a new account.
Yeah, it might be time for a new one.
There was
or-
always already a 13 questions, a 13 questions 2. Now we can go for a 13 questions 33.
right. Yeah, something like that. I don't know, just something for a placeholder, maybe. Or what I was going to do.
The
was just
real
think about it.
13 questions.
Yeah, blue check mark. No, but honestly,
13
okay,
questions
when-
underscore blue check mark.
Yeah, just put it in the name. But I was thinking, I was talking to my wife actually, and she had pointed out, like, when was the last time that you were on social media? Okay, Adam, your case is a little bit different, but like the average.
I
person,
have taken a
when-
vow of social celibacy.
right, but the podcasts that I listen to personally, I didn't come across just by scrolling on Twitter, right, or Instagram or whatever. They've been recommended to me by other physical human beings, right, or sonic entities I've made friends with online, right. So that being said, whatever happens to the Twitter account, it really doesn't matter. But the best way to give back to the show is to share it. Like, it's word of mouth, right? We're not I mean, I'm pretty sure we're shadow banned on Instagram already because I had you know, posted some things and they were fact checked or whatever. And then the other day I went to post the daily meme or whatever, and I had tagged like the past 12 guests, added them with their screen name, and none of them saw it or responded. And it wasn't anything like super controversial. It was a little inspirational thing, right? So I don't think that Instagram's actually being fair with us either, but just more.
It doesn't
reason.
really matter. You are a meme magic machine, but outside of that, it's like you said, it's word of mouth. It's people talking to people. It's value finding value. Yeah, we don't need other platforms to succeed. We are the platform. We are people. We are humans, and we have connection. I mean, if you found this, you have a connection to us. 6 degrees of seven, Kevin Bacon, right?
Bacon.
Kevin Bacon, the Kevin Bacon strip.
Yeah. So yeah, we are like Adam said, we are value for value. So marketing, advertising budget is very limited. So yeah, we'd appreciate it if you could spread the word any way that you can. Give us a rating, a review. I don't think we've asked for many of those on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on.
And you can find us on any Podcast 2.0 compatible app.
Ooh, that's important as we move away from more centralized systems.
And you can always ask for our direct RSS feed. And yeah, we are accessible. Keep our email. You will keep in contact with us. And if you have the RSS feed, yeah, if anything were to happen, if we were to get banned or anything, we'd still be able to put the information out. You can be able to find the file and download the file. So I don't think we have to go up against a train per se. So we should be good.
Yes, and we are at over 100 episodes now, and we did make the decision to remove the paywall a while ago. So that being said, and the fact, value for value, if you do choose to give back monetarily, there's a little something extra that I have come up with what we're going to call the gratitude jar working. And since this is just a bonus for anybody that wants to send us some energy monetarily, I will write your name in purple ink and put it in a jar with other people's names. And this jar is surrounded by what I'm calling stones of the violet or pink spectrum, stones of the violet ray, I guess. And these stones hold some metaphysical properties, which I think are pretty cool, and which we can use to help connect our heart and our mind. A lot of them have to deal with the upper energy chakra centers, and then I have it on a plaid green. There's a word for this, tartan, I think, which is signifying the heart, right? So we're bringing down the higher frequencies, connecting them with our heart, which is what we kind of do in the gratitude segment, right? So this is just kind of a a metaphysical, etheric continuation of that. So I do have another stone to add to that. You can go back and listen to, I believe it starts on episode 98 and it goes through episode 108, where we talk about the other stones that have been added to the gratitude working jar altar thus far. But today we have a new stone, and I think it's a very fitting stone for our guest. And so we're going to talk about smithsonite today. I have cobaltin smithsonite. It is pink-ish. It's not very bright, but still smithsonite nonetheless. It is from a deposit in Mexico. And we are going to be reading from our handy dandy encyclopedia of stones called The Book of Stones by Robert Simmons and Aisha Hassan. So we're going to read from both authors today, just because I feel like doing that. I know that we've only done one author in the past, but that just gives us opportunity to go back and rehash those stones in the future. So, but yeah, Smithsonite's kind of a special one, I think. This episode's kind of special to me. Rodney's a big inspiration, breath of fresh air. So, yeah, I think it's fitting. Okay, so Robert starts out with the keywords, element, and the chakra information for smithsonite. The keywords for this stone are soothing the emotions, release of stress, deepening of love and compassion, relaxing into deeper perception. The element is water, and the chakras are all the chakras. And he goes on to say that smithsonite is one of the premier stones for soothing the emotional body and relieving stress. It cools anger and resentment, allowing one to reestablish the awareness of oneness. It unwinds tension and dispels anxiety. It emanates an oceanic feeling of calm and clarity, encouraging one to view difficult situations with fresh, compassionate eyes. It allows one to see light even in dark times of depression. Carrying or wearing smithsonite is like having a caring friend by one's side. So one may be alone but never lonely. Smithsonite resonates to the vibration of Kuan Yin, Bodhisattva of compassion. Kuan Yin is perhaps the world's most beloved form of this feminine archetype. People everywhere address themselves to her for healing and assistance of all kinds. She is said to help with arguments and interpersonal conflicts, legal troubles, and issues of love, as well as healing. Bringing smithsonite into one's life helps one build an energetic link with Kuan Yin's energy. Smithsonite is a stone of relaxation in all domains. It assists one in entering the state of meditation by calming and relaxing the mind. It facilitates friendship and good feeling in relationships by making each person comfortable with self and others. It promotes relaxation during healing and body layouts by its harmonization of one's energy field. Smithsonite is a stone for stimulating the psychic abilities. It helps one move into the alpha state, in which one is more open to the subtle energies of the non-physical realms. It can assist one in doing all types of readings for others and engaging in other activities such as remote viewing, psychometry, and telepathic communication. He ends with, for relaxation and the relief of stress, smithsonite harmonizes well with lepidolite, which we do have in our gratitude jar working, and that's the only one currently that he lists that we have. So go back and listen for lepidolite in one of those episodes and compare the two. See what you can find.
Have you added our names to the gratitude jar?
No, I haven't.
Well, on that, I feel I don't know. I feel a draw to that stone with the remote viewing, Bill. I do request, if you would not mind, being added to the jar.
That's probably a good idea. I should probably add in some names that should be in there already.
Maybe our guests that we've had on, Little Superman.
Well, I would like them to be aware of it. That way, because if they're not aware of it, they're not going to be able.
What is it, like a positive voodoo doll or something? We might give somebody some good juju.
No, I mean it. I mean, you can't take advantage of something that you're unaware of. So, I think that there's something to be said there. But I'll have to think about that. I mean, I agree with you. You should do it, but I would need to send them an email.
I'm going to sneak into your house, Bill, and I'm going to write the people of Earth, and
Right,
nobody will be safe from the positivity.
yeah. Hey, I'm not opposed to that. If everybody could hear what we're doing here, that would be pretty cool. But no, yeah, we'll figure that out off air. I did want to read a little bit more about Smithsonite by Naisha San. She writes, Smithsonite is a wonderful ally that energetically addresses all levels of the emotional body. It appears in a beautiful rainbow of colors, from intense pinks and teal blues to tangerine orange and yellows. The color of the stone indicates the level of the emotional body to which the stone's energy is directed. It can be used on any chakra according to its color range. No matter where it is placed, its frequency will directly affect an aspect of the motions. The green and blue range of color is particularly good at addressing issues of communication and one's ability to share one's heart and emotions. The pink stones stimulate the heart chakra and encourage the release of past emotional programs and the establishment of healthier approaches. The orange to yellow stones aid in overcoming issues around the use of one's will, as well as assisting in clearing patterns of abuse from the energetic systems. Smithsonite is a powerful initiator of the emotional body. Its energies represent the highest vibrations of emotion, joy, peace, communication, sharing, understanding, compassion, and love. These vibrations are angelic in nature, strengthening those aspects of self that can express these emotions on the earth plane. Smithsonite helps counter negative energy and blockages within the energy field by introducing the higher vibrations of loving emotions. These vibrations activate the heart through the crown chakra, stimulating a higher understanding of emotional issues. Smithsonite enables one to feel closer to one's angelic guardians and spirit guides. It helps soothe worry or fear and allows one to feel supported and loved by the universal all. It can help one release grief and heartache by fostering a deep understanding of eternal love. And that concludes the entry for Smithsonite. There's a little affirmation. It says, I am calm and clear. My emotional body is in a state of rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, and peace, and my perceptions extend into multiple realities. So, I think that's a cool stone, right?
It rocks. Crystal clear, Bill.
Puns intended. So yeah, all that being said, for value for value, if you do choose to give, you will get your name written on purple ink and maybe get some Smithsonite action in your life. I don't know. It depends on if you're aware of it or not, or if you're feeling feeling the vibes we're putting out. If it's resonating with you, you know, all that stuff matters, I think. So, um, with that being said, I don't have anything else to go over this intro. So, without further ado, unless Adam has anything to add,
If you like us, you love us, tell your friends, send your love, your positive vibes out there, spread the word. And truly hope you do enjoy this episode with Rodney. It was one of my favorites. Yeah, I love the way that the guy views the world, and it's really just got me. I love when you have a guest that allows you to reframe where you're at, and it's that things look brighter after speaking with Rodney. So, I mean, damn, the value for value on this show is the show for me, and I hope you guys get as much out of it as we do.
this is 13 Questions with Rodney Norman.
Question number 1. What was the best advice ever given to you, and would you modify it at all today?
The best advice ever given to me. It was early on in my comedy career. I think it was my second open mic that I ever did. And an older comedian who'd been doing it for a while. He came up to me and said, "Hey, I think you're pretty funny, but can I give you some advice?" And I was like, "Sure." He goes, "Nobody is going to look out for you in your career. Nobody is going to open doors for you. You got to open them yourself. Go find your own opportunities. Create your own shows, and you'll find that you'll be a lot happier in comedy by doing that. And so I started doing it. I started setting up my own shows and booking myself to do stuff, and that was all the difference in comedy. And I realized that works for anything. If you're sitting around waiting to fit into somebody else's plans, or if you're just always waiting for something to happen, it never happens. You got to create your own luck, and that's something has stuck with me for quite a while.
Yeah, there's not always a roadmap. Sometimes you got to find your own way through the woods.
Absolutely. Most of it's and if you're following a roadmap, that means you're probably on somebody else's road.
If it reminds me of Earl Nightingale, I've seen a YouTube video of him explaining a challenge, a 30-day challenge. But during the course of him explaining what it's all about, forgive me, I can't remember the name right now, but he says that if you don't like the circumstances that you find yourself surrounded by, then go out and change them, right?
Yep. That's the trick, man. You just you can. That's the thing most of us forget is that, or never realize, is that we say you create your own reality. That's what we're talking about. Is you can create the situations and create your own life the way you want it to be. You don't have to sit around and wait to fit into somebody else's plan. And it's made all the difference for me. Once I stop listening to other people, you start having fun.
Yeah, it opens up room for like original thought, right? You don't have everybody else's voice in your head. You've just got, well, maybe your own, and yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah, you're going to be influenced by others, of course. But when it really comes down to it, it's you making that decision. You're the one putting all the ideas together and deciding what's important. And when you finally just step forward and just start making it happen, you're just you're just a lot happier. It's like one time I went into an audition, and before excuse me, before I even said a word, I step in. This lady looks at me and she goes, "Oh no, your ears are lopsided. Your nose is crooked. You're something funky going with your eyes. You won't work for this project at all. I'm sure you're very talented, but no." And she just kind of put her hand up like, "Okay, leave." And it was one of those moments where it's like, yeah, I don't fit into somebody else's plan. I might as well just do my own thing. Create. If you write your own movie, it's like Sylvester Stallone. He wasn't what anybody was looking for, but he writes Rocky, starts shopping around, and people are like, "Well, we'll make the movie, we'll buy it from you, but we don't want you to be in it." And he's like, "Nope, it's a deal breaker. It's me and the movie. It's the same thing." He stuck to his guns because he created what he knew was right for him and what he would fit into. And
well, the movie's part of him. He is the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the kind of thing that if you really want to make an impact, that's the kind of stuff you need to do. And that applies to whatever you do, whether it's, making movies or making music or doing a podcast or whatever it is that you're posting online, just everything, do you.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. I was going to say that I'm glad that you brought up importance, because where we place that is where our energy is directed. So if we're worried about not getting like Rocky, right? Like it was important that he was part of, or Sylvester was part of that movie. So in doing it, made the he changed the circumstances and had control over that. So yeah, I'm just glad you brought up the importance aspect.
What do you willfully ignore?
Oh, that's a fun one. What do I willfully ignore? Other people's opinions, good or bad. And not if somebody gives me a constructive idea, I'll listen to it and I usually learn a lot from it. But when it's criticism or even praise, I try not to take my own press too literally. Even people tell you, "Oh, you're fantastic, you're wonderful." Um, when you start buying into that, you stop progressing. You stop. You think, "Oh, well, I've already arrived. Thank you very much." And once you do that, pride kicks in. And as I've always said, pride is nothing more than self-imposed damnation because you stop progressing. And so you always have to be a little bit unsatisfied and just keep working and not let the naysayers, the negativity get you down, but also don't let the positive stuff slow you down either. You know, don't get so thinking, oh yeah, I'm absolutely brilliant and amazing. Everybody loves me, because that's not the case. In fact, if you keep thinking that, they'll stop liking you, because then you become an arrogant jerk. So no, just that's the easiest one is just other people's opinions, good, bad, or otherwise. Their opinion of you isn't any of your business. It's mostly about them anyway. So
Well, exactly. And if you do that, then you're letting that person live inside your head. It's like, man, you don't
yes,
belong here.
yes.
What book has been most influential on your life and why?
What book? Oh, easily it's the Bible. The Bible. I started reading the Bible when I was very young. Loved Proverbs and the Psalms, and then just all the stories from the Bible. And then, of course, Christ. Jesus is probably one of the greatest moral philosophers of all time. And it's been a huge inspiration, huge part of my life. I read from it every day. At least I try to read from it every day.
That's interesting. Do you think that has a positive impact on your comedy?
Oh, certainly, certainly. Because it's like I tell people, I don't bill myself as a clean comedian. I don't go out and say I'm clean comedy, blah blah blah. Um, I just want to be funny. I happen to not do a lot. I mean, I have some naughty material, of course, but um, I don't get really graphic. I don't get, and a lot of that is because I don't want to settle for the easiest laugh. If you work really dirty and you can always depend on an F bomb or a sex joke, um, it makes you lazy as a writer. It makes you lazy as a performer because you can just keep going back to that well, and it's always going to be there. It's always fruitful for the most part. But when you decide not to use that, then it pushes you into different places creatively, and that's been a big inspiration. It's just also just looking at trying to be a positive influence to other people and to provide something that's beneficial to some degree, you know. Uh, Something that I love being able to write a joke that anybody can share with anybody else, and that everybody can appreciate it. That you don't have to be the not safe for work category. I can avoid that whole thing. To me, it's just about spreading more joy and more happiness to more people by being able to, tell a joke without dropping an F bomb or
Has
getting graphic.
has the Bible been in you your whole life?
Yeah, it's like I said, I probably have 20 different copies of the Bible from various, mostly the King James, but I'll have them and mark them up, and then they get kind of wore out, and then I got to move to a new set. Kind of an exciting thing. So yeah, the Bible is got my go-to thing. If you were stuck and so you can only take one book with you, that would be what I would take.
I love how that influences your act in how not that you bill yourself as a clean stand up like you said before, but that it certainly makes it widerly accessible to people. And like as a fan of comedy and stand up in general, like I don't really care for, I mean, I've seen a lot of, the raunchier type of things, and it gets old after a while, right? Like there's no
Oh
originality.
yeah,
So,
yeah. When you work dirty or you work political, it's basically just telling the same jokes over and over again. It's just you find a new creative way to say the same thing, and yeah, I get tired of it. It's like I tell people I don't get offended by what you're saying. I get offended by the fact that you're taking the easy
Yeah,
route
you don't
as
like somebody that
as a
cuts in
comedian.
line. So
Yeah, yeah, and you can look if you're willing to just say whatever you want and throw it out there. I've seen people who are very talented, very funny with it, and I have no. I mean, being funny is a hard job. I mean, being a comedian very difficult, and I don't fault anyone for what they do and what their art is. You know, that's them. But for me, I want to try to push it in different directions. I want to find a more clever way of getting the laugh. You know, I don't want to depend on all the tried and true things that always work. You know, the hack. And I hate to use that hack for a comedian. When you say hack, it's a it's a yeah, those are fighting words, if you will. But just the standard run of the mill punchlines. You want to avoid them. You want to do something different. You want to push the art form into a different direction, and that's what I'm always looking to do.
so
Talk,
have you noticed an uptick in hits or views or followers recently because people are looking for more of that I don't know, positivity?
sure, sure. With my regular silly videos, they don't realize that I'm a stand up comic, but now people are starting to figure it out because I've been posting more stand up lately, and they're starting to see it. And yeah, I'm getting a lot of that. A lot of people, very positive comments about the fact that they can share it with their grandkids or people at work. That they're not embarrassed of what I'm talking about or what I'm saying. So that, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and yeah, it does. It opens you up to a lot more bigger bigger opportunities like corporate work, especially nowadays with the whole cancel culture. They're so scared that you're going to say the wrong thing and everybody's going to get fired or something. And so being able to go in there and be completely clean, non-political, just go in there and tell jokes and have fun. It's quite a relief to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I've found, I mean, relief is a good word, but I mean, inspiration, I guess, about some of the shorter clips that you put out messages like I'm not about not putting like importance, like that aspect, like that, not taking yourself so seriously, or maybe taking a step back from a situation and realizing that you know everything's not so in your face all the time. If you, it's only like that way if you choose that way, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's most of all the anxieties and things that we create for ourselves are all just that. It's all just stuff we create in our own mind. We're trying to make things fit the way we want them to be and we want our desires to be fulfilled. And when everything doesn't go our way, we get upset. And when you learn to just let all that go, as the Buddha talks about, just letting go of your attachments and your wants and all those things. And once you let all that go and you just exist and just enjoy life for what it is and for what it isn't, you find yourself just be more peaceful, happier, and you actually obtain more because the things that you do get are things that you love and appreciate. Why? Because you love and appreciate everything. And then when you love and appreciate things, you get more things to love and appreciate.
Absolutely, it's like just an exercise in free will. You're choosing what you get to see in the world, right?
Yes, it's opening yourself up to real free will. Because a lot of the things that we think we're choosing are really, they become our own prisons. Like lust, drugs, alcohol. I mean, we think, oh, I'm being a free spirit. No, you're condemning yourself to a shackle. You're imprisoning yourself with those kinds of choices. When you learn to not make those kinds of choices and let those things go, you find yourself opening up to better and greater opportunities and just being happier.
Yeah, you stop limiting yourself really, and once you stop doing that, who knows what can happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
What rule do you have for yourself that you never break, and why do you think it is important?
Never take myself too seriously. That that humility, just knowing that when I come up with something I think is brilliant, I always remind myself somebody else has started this before. Um, Again, it's just accepting the fact that I'm just one single solitary man in this world, and um, I'm not any more important than anyone else. And that's just something I like to remind myself. I just uh, with whatever success I have in life, I understand that it's very fleeting, and that this could that there's any number of other people who are just as talent or as smart as me that probably deserve it more. And just holding on to that level of hopefully humility. Uh, like I said, just I constantly remind myself not to take myself too seriously.
But that's actually beautiful in the same way that then there's no pressure because, everything has been done before. So look to what's been done before and you have yourself little roadmaps and don't take the pressure so much when you fail. I don't know. I kind of like that. That's a good dichotomy.
Yeah, it's just like I said, you just accept things for who they are, what they are, and they're good, bad, or otherwise. I mean, whether something is good or bad is all determined by ourselves. But if you just never make that, uh, if you just decide not to even make that decision about or of judging it good or bad and just accepting it for what it is, you just find yourself happier. Plus, a little more humble, you know, just knowing that amazing things happen to people for um, no good reason whatsoever. Often, so you can just get lucky, and sometimes that just happens. And just knowing that and accepting that, yeah, it does. It takes a lot of pressure off of you.
I love that you brought up the not judging and accepting things for what they are. Like it is what it is has been a phrase that I've been having in my head recently, right? Just
Yeah,
having the acceptance and not judging, right? Like that's hard to do because we all, I mean, everybody judges every moment of the day. Like how can we not really? Like otherwise how would depth perception is a judgment if you want to make that argument, right? But
yeah,
you know
absolutely.
If I were to ask your best friend, what is the one thing they would say you need to work on the most and why?
Oh, laziness. I think I'm the type of person that will do very little to nothing for a long time, and then have these moments of just absolute pure chaos. If I could work better at just kind of uh, working at a more even pace rather than I think that's it. I'm just too lazy. I uh, I rest on my laurels a little too much, I guess is what I'm saying. I like that. Sometimes I take it too easy. I coast too much. That's probably my biggest problem.
Yeah, but I like it at the same time you want to avoid the easy comedy. So at the same time you're still pushing yourself into the deep end.
Yeah, yeah. So it's it's like I feel like if I was a little more motivated, a little more focused, I could achieve even more. But at the same time, I'm not too worried about. It's sort of a nice little balancing act.
yeah,
Um,
it's achieving flow, right? Like it's staying in that flow state,
yeah,
it's a balancing
yeah,
act.
stay in that flow state, but I still feel like maybe I'm just a little bit too relaxed about it. You
Yeah.
know?
It's an always ongoing process. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, um, What turns me on most spiritually? Um, I think it's other people. It's getting to know other people and learning their stories. And I love meeting new people, and I love hearing why they are what they are and who they are and what made them them. And I just I love it. I love to get to know other people and try to look at life through their eyes, see things, especially if people are so different from me that they see the world in a completely different way. Um, I just are people who are like completely opposed to almost everything I believe, and they're in a total different uh, spectrum. I love meeting those people. I love getting to know those people, and yeah, I just absolutely, yeah, that's it. Easily, it's just other people, just getting to know and learn from other people.
That's beautiful, especially in your line of work, because you travel around to, all over to every place, and you're there to talk to and with people. So
Oh,
that is
yeah,
an amazing
yeah.
opportunity.
Oh, I love it. It's absolutely the best. I wish I could spend more time with people. A lot of times it's just I just meet them like after a show, and so we just have a few minutes to talk. But the opportunities when I get to meet somebody for lunch and who just wants to meet up and go and we sit down and chat for a few hours. I just love it. It's so you learn more about yourself by learning about other people because getting to see how they see the world and it just really opens your horizons and it's just an amazing thing. And that's one thing I always like to remind myself is that every person you meet has a great story. Every person you meet has a reason for being what they are, and most of the time it's pretty incredible. And you never know what somebody's gone through. You meet somebody and you think um, they're by their appearances they just like seem like a pretty normal kind of life, and then you get to know them and find out they're absolutely astounding. I've been through incredible things. I just love it. Like I said, I just love meeting and getting to know other people.
Isn't that great? Everybody's got a beautiful story. It's just not their, Instagram page. When you really talk down and talk, or not talk down, but like sit down and talk to people, everybody is going to have something in common that's amazing to talk about. It's one thing I
Oh,
loved when I
absolutely.
used to go to bars is I would walk up, I would just go and hang out and talk to random people that wanted to talk because it was kind of like, see how fast I could find something in common and learn something new. And those conversations would always be fun.
Oh yeah, bars are great because the reason they're at a bar is because they're lonely. They want to feel some sort of a connection with something or someone, and yeah, they're great places to meet people. Plus, they get a couple drinks in them. They're a little bit more less reserved, and they'll share a lot of stuff that maybe they didn't really want to share. but but no, that yeah.
I mean, that's what drove me to want to do podcasts, is stories, hearing about people's stories. And this is great because of 13 Questions interview based podcast. So we get to hear stories all day long. So,
Yeah, no, it's great.
yeah.
What was the most embarrassing or humbling experience of your life?
Oh, well, I've had several, but I think for this purpose, I was in a comedy competition many years ago. It's called the Rocky Mountain Laugh Off. And the way it worked was you were like in a round with several other comics. I think total there was like 20 comedians in this competition, and you would be in one group. So there was a group of 10, and then there was another group of 10, and um, for like one night for two shows you were with one group of 10, and then they would mix it up, and the next night you would be with a different group of 10, right? And through the first few rounds I was in the top one or two for every round. I mean, I was doing really well in this competition, doing great, having great time. And then we That was the Thursday night, Friday night. I was doing really well. The Saturday night show, first show, I placed first. I mean, I just had a great set. Everything was perfect. You know, it was just like, yeah, I was a front runner to win this thing, right? Well, we go into the second show Saturday night, and I really wasn't paying all that much attention to the show. I just, you know, because you're talking to other comics and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I used to start my set during this competition. I would go up and I would bend over and I would talk to people in the front row about how impressed I was that they would sit in the front row at a comedy show, because most people are scared of the comedians, and you know, and then I kind of make fun of being in the front row and then the back row. And it was a good way to kind of, you know, kind of an icebreaker kind of opening, and it led well into my material, and it worked. It was a great bit. But anyway, so I get up there this Saturday night, and I start into the bit, and I'm getting absolutely nothing from that audience. I mean, nothing. And so I start going into my jokes. You know, I had some really punchy jokes, and I'm just getting I mean, it is if they just announced, uh, you know, the death of Santa Claus. I mean, it was just nothing, nothing. And I just keep plugging away, and I'm going, man, am I getting punked? You know, I stopped at my set. I'm just like, what is going on here, right? I mean, it was just so surreal. I mean, it was just, I mean, it wasn't that they didn't think I was funny. This audience wanted me dead. They absolutely were just had this look of just absolute pure horror at my presence. And I'm going, what is going on here? Right. So I get off stage early. I'm supposed to do 5 minutes. I did 3. I'm just like, there's no saving this set. I'm just getting off stage. Right. So I go back and I'm talking to the other comics, and they're like, what happened? I'm going, I don't know what happened. I mean, it was just weird. It was just really awkward. And I mean, I mean, I wanted to hide. I mean, the audience just did not want anything to do with me. And later on, it was about a week later, I finally was bothered by it so much that I had a videotape of the show. And so I went back and I watched it, and I realized what I had done was the comedian before me, which had never been a problem because um, he was always way after me or before me. We were never close together in during our sets. But in this particular show, I followed him. He happened to be a hunchback. So he has a little physical deformity, so he's bent over. And I realized that when I went up on stage and I just bent over and I started talking to the front row, as I had always done, meant nothing. It was nothing meant by, but the audience perceived that I was mocking the other comedian and his physical deformity. And it never registered until that moment. And it was, I was like, oh, I would hate me too. You know, it was just, but it was probably one of the worst moments of, especially in comedy or performing anything everywhere. I mean, it was just, and you know, it took me out of the running for the to win the thing, because my score, I mean, 0. I mean, I got the judges were in the audience, and they all gave me just flat out 0 and said they hated me. It was it was quite a humbling experience, but something I learned. You know, pay attention to what's going on before.
It's also kind of funny in a way that you got like to think that the person that would sit down and make that joke and purposely make fun of the person beforehand and ruin their whole set for that. But you got to do it without no knowledge. Like you did this horrible thing out of pure innocence. And you get to hold that of like, well, that was terrible. However, like, you know, also shame on the crowd. They made a huge assumption about me. And I don't know. In my mind, it's a little funny.
Yeah. Oh no, it still goes down as just absolutely, like I said, horrifying. But
it's funny too, the fact that like, because if you know nothing about it, you can't avoid it. Like you're getting torpedoed no matter what, right out of the gate. There's no coming back, and you have no idea why. So it's like, I don't even know I'm drowning.
Yeah. It was. I was just like, oh, just keep going, and then but I had dug myself a hole I was never going to get out of.
Oh, you know what? Sometimes it's
yeah,
nice to be put in those holes that you would never purposely put yourself in, and you're there, and okay, you still get to learn something.
Yeah, I certainly did. But it was. It's funny because often when I start feeling too good about myself, and I start, thinking, oh yeah, I'm the gift. I'm God's gift to comedy. I remind myself of that moment. It's like, you're just one bad impression away from total disaster at any time on a comedy stage. So you always got to keep thinking, because your perception of what you're doing is different from what the audience is doing, and when you lose focus of that, you can get yourself into a lot of hot water.
Did the other comedian have did he know what you were doing, or was he?
No, he did not in any way, shape, or form think I was making, because, like I said, he had seen me perform. He'd seen me do that bit and start that same way the whole show. I mean, it would just happen to be the fact that if I had never bent over, if I had just pointed to the audience and asked the question, it would never have been a problem. But the fact that I bent over, that perception of mocking him, that's where it was over.
The mocking was all in their own heads. That's the amazing part. The disdain was with them.
Yeah, but like I said, if I had, you just don't think of it. I wasn't even thinking in any way to make fun. He's my friend. I still consider him a friend to this day. I mean, it was not. There was no way I would ever want to intentionally mock him or ridicule him in any way. But that's in the audience's perception. That's exactly what I had done, and they did not take kindly to it at all. So. But yeah, that was embarrassing. Just when you eat it on stage, it's always rough. But as a comic, you just learn to just deal with it. Some things just don't hit. Sometimes it just doesn't click. But that one, to just go from literally winning the round before, I mean, absolutely crushing, to the audience literally wanted me dead in just one show. It was quite the humbling experience.
Well, if you were looking instead of to kill it to get killed, the shot way to do it.
Oh yeah, just start making fun of somebody's physical deformity. That'll bring the audience. That'll get them off your side very quickly.
All right, question number 8. What is your greatest fear? How did you overcome it, if you have?
My greatest fear is singing in public. I've sung at 3 different occasions when I was younger. People at church actually asked me to stop singing. And then one time I was in a musical in college, and we had this thing where we had this. I didn't have any solos or anything, but it was part of the chorus. And we were going through this song, and he just the director just kept stopping us. He goes, "No, there's just something in there that just sounds completely wrong. Let's go back." So we're going through this thing like over and over again, like 10 times. It's like, this is getting ridiculous. I just was like, screw it. I'm not singing anymore. I'm tired. So I didn't sing. And as we were going through that, he just gets this biggest smile. And we get through the whole song for the first time in practice in 2 weeks. We finally get through the whole song because he's happy with it. And he goes, "I don't know what adjustment you made. I don't know who you are or what you did, but whatever you just did, that's what we needed for this to work. So whatever you did, everybody here, whatever you did for that number, that's what you should do every time." And that's when I realized it was me. I was the problem. And as soon as I stopped singing, everything was okay. And so it was like, oh no. But I want to be able to sing. And I've tried karaoke a couple times, and it's always been, I always end up being the one where people come up and sing with you to kind of make themselves feel better about the fact that you're doing a horrible job. You know what I mean? You can always tell if you're bad at karaoke because everybody starts singing along with you to drown you out. And I've had that many times. And so, but no, I want to sing, and so now I'm going to be at a music festival in a couple weeks, and I've talked to one of the bands, and they're going to learn. I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in, the song by Kenny Rogers, and I'm going to sing that, and they're going to play. They're going to accompany me, and I'm going to sing it. This is my biggest fear is to do this, and so I haven't done it yet, but that I want to do it really bad. I want to finally actually sing in public and not embarrass myself. So that's my biggest fear.
That's awesome. I love that you picked the Kenny G song. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Singing, like I have had, I don't know if it's like my greatest fear, but I actually spent some time in seminary in Missionaries of the Holy Spirit out in California, and
Oh.
part of that group I was with, I don't know, 5, 6 guys, and they had a parish that they took care of, and part of their duties was to be the choir for that parish. So we all had to take singing lessons, and we were each singled out and
Uh
kind of taught how to sing. I could never get it right, like, and the look on this guy's face as trying to teach me, like, is just horrible.
huh.
And I feel, yeah. So that was just a bad experience, and yeah, it's I can relate. I did feel for the one guy that was there before my group showed up. It was just him, right? He was the only novice in the order at the time, so he was the choir for this random group of people that he had never met because he was from Mexico City. So yeah, I could see it's pretty terrifying. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 9. What is your single greatest driving force in life, and how do you further it?
Oh, I think my single greeting driving force in life is getting people to just enjoy life. We take it too seriously. As I like to point out, whether you believe in God or not, even if you just think that we're just some cosmic accident that happened, or that you truly believe that we are a creation of God, I mean, it really comes down to one of those options. We're either a cosmic miracle or a creation of God. Um, Regardless, the fact that we're here and that we're aware that we're actually a sentient beings and we understand we're here and we can perceive what's taking place. This is a magnificent gift. This is a beautiful gift that we have, and we should be enjoying it and appreciating it for what it is. With all of its good and bad and otherwise. And that really is what I love to share with people. It's just help people lighten up and laugh and just enjoy all of it for all of its craziness and stupidity and beauty and everything, and just appreciate it for all of it.
Absolutely. I think the world could use more laughter. I think, isn't there a laughing yoga technique or something along those lines? It does something physiologically. The act of laughing does something physiologically to
Oh
us.
yes, it's one of the most beneficial things because well, there's a theory that we actually started laughing because we would survive a horrific encounter. That we would run away from a saber-toothed tiger and we'd get to the cave and we're safe. That our emotion in our elation was to laugh. Like, oh, I can't believe it. Ha ha ha, we did this. And so when you laugh, it's signaling to your body that everything's okay. And so that's why when you laugh, you feel better. It's the release of endorphins and dopamine and serotonin. All those levels just go through the roof when you laugh, and your body relaxes, and it just amazing things happen. So yeah, laughter is really, it truly is medicine. It really, really is. And when you get so anxious and depressed with life and you just can't laugh, I mean, it really takes a toll on you physically. But when you can finally just let go and just laugh and enjoy yourself, life becomes less of a burden. It becomes something you can enjoy and not take it so seriously and realize it's not every little thing isn't the end of the world. You know that you can be happy even if your water gets turned off because you don't have enough money. Okay, we'll just deal with it. You know, I'll find a way to make the money. You know what I mean. All these little things that we think are horrible, terrible things really aren't that big of a deal. You know, and learning to just laugh at it and just move on. It's such a valuable thing to experience, and just to help people to do that and to just give people a silly reason to laugh every day. That's that's my mission every day, just to get people to laugh and smile in
Yeah.
spite of it all.
You can't laugh if you're not serious. Like if you're serious, then you're not gonna laugh, right? And that's how we get, you know.
Right. And like I said, it's not about ignoring everything. It's about giving everything the proper amount of attention it deserves. Because there's a lot of this stuff that we get all upset about, and worked up about. Is stuff that really has nothing to do or little to do with us, or that we have any to little influence over it. So why are you wasting all your time being upset about something that's happening on the other side of the world that you have no control over?
Or
There's
not
nothing to do
even
with you at all.
we're not even addressing, addressing the grill in the room. I heard Jeff Ross do an interview where he talked about after he'd do his set, he'd go to the audience and start pointing like, hey, who's disabled? You know, who has a terminal disease? Like all the really bad things. Who had a divorce? Like really bad, traumatic things in life. But these are the things that we don't talk about. We don't laugh about. We don't bring to light. And I was like, that is amazing, the gift that you're giving people by allowing them to laugh at these things. In especially what you said there, really, running from the animal and having it as a relief, because you can be scared to death. You can be terrified to death. And I mean, with that perspective, laughter and jokes and making fun of things that you think shouldn't be made fun of, but making them fun anyways. I mean, that's true healing.
It's healing, and it's taking power away from it. It's taking the sting. It's taking the control that it has over you, and you're taking it back. Because if you can make fun of something, you can control it. You can overcome it. You know that's why I love pointing this out. You know when we go to war, you know if you look at the war films from World War II, the stuff that they would show the soldiers before they went into battle, it was all just lampooning the enemy. You know, it was making fun of Hitler, it was making fun of the Japanese, and it was just mocking and ridiculing them, because that's how you take away that fear of something. You know, here you're about to go do quite possibly one of the most horrific things a person could do is go to war, and you're putting yourself in a position where they're trying to kill you. And what we found that psychologically the best way to help you was to get you to make fun of them, was to make fun of the other side, because that allowed you the confidence and the strength to be able to stand up to it. And we can use that. I mean, it seems terrible now to think of doing that to other people, but we can use that in everything we do. You know, with cancer, with disease, with all these things that we think that have control over us. When we can learn to laugh about it and mock it and ridicule it, we take our. That's how we have our. That's how we gain our power over it. I mean, comedy and laughter are are amazing things, and I think they're a very misunderstood uh, and important part of our lives. And most of us think of it not that important. It's like quite possibly one of the most important things that you could do for your health, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's given the credit that it is comedy in general, because just speaking to your point, because it takes your power. You get your power back when you stop, placing such importance on these outside things, and that's that's so freeing. Like that, what I've found, I think that's what drew me to the comedy, and it's more of a. I'm a big philosophy. I'm a philosophy major too, and I find a lot
Oh, nice.
in philosophy and comedy and well, some comics, right? But yeah, it is underappreciated. I would say.
When a
Oh,
person has no
absolutely.
power, you say they're a joke, and we all accept that as an understood fact. So yeah, it really is a disempowering thing. If nobody
Yeah.
believes in the government and the military is a joke and funny, then they cannot succeed in whatever you're trying.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
yeah, that is truly powerful, and we all have it. If you can make your friends laugh,
Yes.
then you got the power.
Yep. That's why if you're a funny person, um, people will love you or hate you. One, you can make them laugh, but two, also if you can make somebody laugh and make them like you, that's a power move. And some people get a little upset about it. That's why you'll get hecklers. So people will come to a comedy club and heckle and try to ruin the show because they feel like the they're the ones with the power because you could get them to laugh. You get those kinds of people all the time in the comedy club. It's really quite funny.
If you can get an officer to laugh if you've been pulled over for whatever reason, there's probably a good chance you won't get a ticket. I've had some luck.
Works for me. Works for me every time.
All right, question number 10. Who were or are your role models and why?
Who are my role models? I think my first one was my dad. My dad was just a solid dude. He was uh, very knowledgeable. He was funny. He was very talented, and yeah, just easily. My dad was my first hero, and still is, still is. And then as I got older, uh, I loved watching comedians on the Tonight Show. It was the only time I could ever get to see them, and also the Carol Burnett Show. And so for me, one of my earliest heroes was um, Tim Conway because of how just absolutely brilliant he was as a comedic actor. I mean, he was just to me. I think he's quite possibly the best there's ever been. I just love that guy. And then Robin Williams, huge influence. Um, um, yeah, I've never really put too much stock in people because no matter who you pick as a role model, they're always going to have faults. They're always going to have something that's wrong. Um, so I was always just try to look at the good in everyone that I can. You know. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be it. Easily though. My dad he was just such an awesome, an amazing person, and both my grandfathers were pretty cool in themselves. My one grandfather was actually the inspiration for the character that I do most of the time.
Good.
Yeah, because he was an alcoholic, and he used to tell us all these weird stories and uh, life lessons while he was, basically a little buzzed.
He was a real life
And
drunk history.
yes, and so from that's kind of where I developed the character that I do. It's just kind of slow and kind of discombobulated, but it's not really slow. It's just very calculated in the way he would think, because he's always wanting to say the absolute right thing, And because he was drunk, he was kind of searching for it. So it was kind of funny to me as a kid watching it. So as I got older, I started working on this character, and it was based on my grandfather, just because he was. for all of his faults and mistakes, he was funny. He taught me a lot of important lessons in life in his silly little ways.
That's awesome. I love when guests have family members as their role models, and not to say that other people aren't valuable too, but to have those uh, people in our lives that are so close to us that we're able to look up as we grow up.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
Important.
yeah.
And then yeah, man, Robin Williams. That reminds me of he did a movie called like Patch, I think, or something. About we were talking about the power of laughter, where he
Patch Adams, yeah.
Patch Adams. Yeah, yeah. Like that movie in itself is like that was based off of a like an actual doctor, wasn't it?
Yes, I've actually heard that guy, the actual Patch Adams, speak, and yeah, it was yeah, he was an older gentleman. He became a doctor, I think, in his 50s, and he understood the power of laughter.
Uh-oh. Something happened to the audio.
It gave you hope when you could laugh at something. You know what I mean?
It cut out there for a second. Rodney.
And
We didn't.
that was the thing he clued in on. You're still there?
Yeah, we lost you for a few moments. You were talking about Patch Adams, how he became a doctor when he was about 50, and then
Oh yeah, but yeah. So he becomes a doctor in his 50s. He didn't, he was very old before he got into medical school. But as he's there training to be a doctor, he's looking at how the medical profession is, and he's like, we don't have any kind of real rapport with our patients, which is kind of silly because we should be able to give our patients an understanding of what they're going through and also hope. And laughter was a great way of giving people hope, getting them to laugh and relax. Made them realize that, yeah, you're up against something pretty serious, but, there are ways through this. You can fight through this. You can get through this. You can get better. And part of that was the laughter. And yeah, and I think having Robin Williams as Patch Adams was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
question number 11. What quality do you most admire in a woman?
Oh. When I first met my wife, we had a mutual friend who had told us about each other for a long time. And so I knew a lot about her, and she knew some about me. I knew more about her than she knew about me. And so when I finally was to meet her, our mutual friend, we were going to go pick her up and, and do something. And so she was at work. And so the first time I met her, while she was at work, she worked at the shoe department of a Fred Meyer department store. And so I go walking in there. Our mutual friend is hiding, so she can't be seen. And I go walking in there to the shoe department, and Tressa, my wife, she comes walking out of the back room, and I see her. And of course, she doesn't know who I am from Ann. I mean, she doesn't know who I am. She's never met me. And I know it's her from pictures that I've seen. And I'm like, oh, hey, Tressa. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. It's been such a long time. And I start talking about her, asking about her family and her sisters and her brothers and her parents. And she finally just looks at me and goes, I'm sorry, but I have absolutely no idea who you are. And I can honestly say that's the moment that I just absolutely fell head over heels for this woman, because she was so confident and just blunt. I just my heart just sunk. And so I think in that is just seeing a woman who's just really confident and not trying to put any kind of front. And I think that's the same with anybody, not just women, but it's just a characteristic I love in everybody. People who are just truly authentic and honest and aren't afraid to be themselves. I love meeting people like that.
Yeah, being confident, saying and blunt is like saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and
Yeah.
pithy, I think, is a good adjective.
Pithy, yes,
Right.
pithy. Moxie.
got moxie.
Question.
I was
Go ahead.
I was always really attracted to very confident girls, very confident women.
I mean, confidence itself, like it's like a magnet, right? People are just
Oh
drawn.
yeah.
Question number 12. What is the most courageous thing you have ever done or seen in your life?
Oh, most courageous thing I've ever done or seen. Hmm, a good question. I mean, I've done things that I felt courageous about doing. You know, I've stood up to bullies. I've stood up to people who were bullying other people. Um, Courageous I've seen in somebody else. Um, you know, probably my daughter. She wanted to do. She has a lot of anxiety issues, and she gets really nervous being around other people. But she wanted to do stand up, right? She wanted to get up and do stand up, and I kept, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I knew that she was really nervous about doing it. I knew that she was just absolutely just, you know, a complete wreck of uh, in the idea of getting up and telling jokes because it's a nerve wracking thing. I know, you know. And the first time she did it, though, she just got up there and she just did it. And I knew how anxious she was about it. I knew how hard it was for her to get up there, but she just got up there and she just did it. And once she got her first laugh, you could see the confidence come into her face, and then she just started just pounding away at it, and she did a great job. It's one of those proud dad moments when you see your kid, you know what they're going through, and there's nothing you can do. It's just you just stand there and watch them do it, and seeing her get up there and do it. And it was in front of a good sized crowd. It was an open mic. There was about 40 people there. I mean, so it was, it was something to deal with. But she got up there and did it. I was just never been more proud of. I mean, I'm proud of all my kids, but that moment in particular was just it was a great dad moment.
All the
Oh, yeah,
things you
'cause
wonder if
I
you got
mean, you get
right.
to share this gift that you brought into the world, and now it's giving back to the world, and that it came from. I mean, it's beautiful. I think
Yeah.
making a difference. All right, and that brings us to the capstone question. Question 13. What does it mean to be a man in today's world?
Be a man in today's world. Well, it's all about that confidence. It's all about just being a true, authentic person. Standing up for yourself and standing up for those who have a hard time standing up for themselves. Being able to be a voice of reason, but not in an overpowering, overbearing way, but just being confident and just knowing and providing that the level of strength to yourself and everyone around you. I mean, really, the idea of being a real man is just, if nothing else, just not being a burden on everyone else. Just being able to hold your own and take care of yourself, and not having others to have to help and take care of you. I think that but at the same time, also being capable of accepting help from others when you need it. It's sort of a nice little balancing act of, I think we used to have that whole idea of this, the macho or I'm a man's man kind of thing. And I still think that that's important. I mean, I love Jordan Peterson's when he explains you've got to be a dangerous person. You've got to be able to fight. You have to be able to lay it down and and be the strength. But at the same time, only when necessary. You know, sort of that speak softly and carry a big stick. I think that really is what a man is and needs to be, especially in today's world.
Well said. I like that you started out with confidence. I mean, because we've been talking about that, but I think that is it is really the root. I know that in the chakra system, our confidence is right above our root chakra.
Mm-hmm.
That is really our it's kind of like the
sacral.
basis. Yeah, it's the basis from which we're able to function in the world, and how with confidence or semi mediocrely or whatever, right? But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good language there, Bill. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. I am curious. I have 2 bonus questions in mind. If you have a few more moments.
Sure.
Cool. The first one would be, if there was one institution or societal. What institution of society or structural aspect of modern life would you change, given the chance?
Our educational system is horrible, because it's not designed to really educate a child. It's designed really to indoctrinate them. The idea of show up, shut up, and do what you're told is really what schools are now, and have been for a long time, to be honest with you. But I think I love a lot of the European ideas of education, where you're allowing kids to kind of find their own way, and that really a school should be about teaching a child how to learn, how to use the scientific method, and to explore ideas and come up with a hypothesis, and work through it and work with others. That's what school should be about. Einstein used to always say, don't let schooling get in the way of your education. And I think that's exactly what we've done, is we've created schools that really don't foster creativity and ingenuity and free thinking. Instead, we've got this idea of rote memorization, and that learning is boring and tedious. And whereas nothing could be further from the truth. Getting to learn new things should be exciting and fun. But we've taken something fun and beautiful and wonderful, and we've turned it into, a chore, and it's very unfortunate. So yeah, quite easily the educational system needs to be scrapped and redone.
That is a very popular answer to this question, which is why I wanted to ask it, just to see. But yeah, it seems to be, if there's one thing to highlight that everybody could kind of focus on and work on, that's outside of the political spectrum, it would be the education system for sure.
Yeah, I think everybody can agree that it's not really benefiting society or the kids at all.
Well, and really
what we're
now,
doing now.
all the benefit that you can, and that makes sense, teaching you how to learn. Because right now you got the internet, you have access to all information, you got a scientific calculator, you can do all the work with a little bit of knowledge. So now, how do you learn? How do you structure? How do you manage your day-to-day life to get things done?
Absolutely. How to think through problems. And knowing that you have the ability to solve your problems and think them through. Because I think too often we teach the kids that they have to look to, they have to appease an authority to be able to progress. And that's a horrible thing. That's a horrible thing that we've instilled in children.
Yeah, I agree. Adam, did you have any bonus questions in mind? I've got one more, but I wanted to give you a chance.
No, go for it.
Okay, last one would be, if Rodney, if you could give one piece of advice to future generations, what would it be?
Don't buy Dogecoin. No. What advice would I give to future generations? Again, I think I would just go back to the life is a beautiful thing, and for all of its miscarriages of justice and all of its frailties and silliness, life is a beautiful thing, and it's worth living, and it's worth appreciating, and just never let go of that. Gratitude is the key to the whole thing.
Absolutely. That is a awesome note to end on. Adam and I actually have a gratitude segment that we do in the intros. So we have a jingle to go along with it, and we just kind of share about
nice
things that we're thankful for. But yeah, Rodney, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and let everybody know where they can find you if they don't already.
Oh, well, very easily, rodneynorman.com, or you can just Google Rodney Norman. I happen to be the most famous Rodney Norman that has ever existed. Nothing against the other Rodney Normans, but I'm kind of winning. So that's it. That's how you find me. I'm on all the social medias. I'm out there. I'm all over the place.
Awesome. I will have everything in the show notes for listeners for ease of access. And yeah, man, thank you. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm a huge fan. My wife's a huge fan. So,
oh, awesome!
Yeah, dude,
thank you.
Yeah, I can't. Almost what Bill said. Thank you so much for joining us, man. I say it all the time, but time is the most valuable thing that you can offer anybody, and wisdom, and you've offered both. So, thank you so much for bringing that.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. That's all I got to say.
All righty. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure, my friends.
All right, we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Later, Rodney.
Okay. Bye.
I wanna Hawaii. I wanna Hawaii. Yo what? 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 I wanna Hawaii. I wanna Hawaii. Yo what?
Why is one man rich and another man poor? Why we ain't satisfied? Why we gotta have more? Why your suicide rates on the rest so high? Why I tell you the truth but you say don't lie? Why is being a good father at an all-time low? Why is it acceptable? Yo, why? I don't know. Why she blame him and he blame her? It's useless. Ask yourself this question. Why you making excuses? Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians, and use labels? Now that's racism.
I wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I wanna Hawaii. Yo why? I wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I wanna Hawaii. Yo why? I wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I wanna Hawaii. Yo why? I wanna Hawaii.
Why?
I wanna Hawaii. Yo
Why is
why?
there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes. And why? And why? And why?
you wanna Hawaii, yo, how you wanna Hawaii, how you wanna Hawaii, yo, how you wanna Hawaii, how you wanna Hawaii, yo.
This should be considered entertainment and not therapy. We hope you benefit from our resources available at 13questionspodcast.com. Thank you for listening.